I'm back from using the ladies. But in the house, it's not the ladies, is it? It's just the bathroom. Okay. Yeah. Look, y'all, you betrayed me. Go basic. And as an INFJ, frankly, I'm very good at goodbyes. Like Sam Smith, I'm good at goodbye. I'm good at door slamming. But you see, that's the thing about people that betray you. They become possessive because they just cannot stand the prospect of you coming up for air from that. Of career kaofela e felletse. Stop phone. Career kaofela e felletse. Monna kaofela o felletseng. Bophelo grandship nje fela at all. Bo felletseng. Go latlhegela gwaka of all that. Go khositswe ke batho ba ko heso, family. Dichomi, some colleagues, abantu engibathembile ngempilo yami. Bangithathela umphefumulo bangibulele ke bulaile ke batho ba ke ba ratang la nkutlwa bangpeya ka mo lekasing bangpoloka ebe ba lotshela samente ba omisa ka blow dryer hore go ska ba motho o tlo digang up. And years down the line le tsugile jwanong because lebitso la ka ke Uma Themane ko Kill Bill le mpona njang ka re ke Beatrix Kiddo nna a Beatrix Kiddo o balegile ngwana batho o lo ba le monna a lo ba le ngwana. Live a life not as an assassin. Abe grand langatella morago, that's the thing. Haleng thola ebele long Kenya molekasing, and just like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Akere lebele semente mo godima lekase laka. Akere you've made sure motho sebetsang graveyard shifty, he's taken leave nje fela for the day. Anyone that could support me lengpulukile even from their eyes. So what does Beatrix Kiddo do in Kill Bill? If you've seen Kill Bill, yeah, Uma Thurman. She breaks the casket, comes out looking all sandy swally, goes to a restaurant, asks for some water, and the guy there is shocked at the fact that a woman is looking so ashy, so dry. Soot, smoke, dust is coming off her. The woman literally punched a casket until she got out. And y'all who buried me alive have ever since I punched my casket to get out been trying everything in your power to kill me. Now that I broke out of that casket, do you know what the punching exercise of trying to take myself out of Lekasi Leo was? It was this thing that I started. I started a ministry. I shared my testimony. I spoke about what in the world is being done to me, so all your reviling, the disrepute of my person, would not be believed. That anybody that would ever happen upon my content would realize that Limpuetsa Maka Gepo Emosiving ya 10 years has only become 10 years. Because people don't trust me because of the just initial 6 months of a gap. The fact that I was fired from my job, lost the case at the CCMA despite evidence being in support of me, has caused people like I'm not good, I'm not skilled at what I do, or even if I am skilled, I am untrustworthy. So you caused corporate South Africa to not trust my CV, me. And since I'm not a liar, since I get CV and say or again say this and that and call somebody, since I am not a liar, I'm very transparent, I'm honest, because I belong to God. I don't have the luxury of ukunamanga on a CV just to get my agenda across. I don't have the luxury of misrepresenting information, or what is the word that I am rather looking for? Confabulating stuff, like making stuff up that didn't really happen. Fabricating evidence, embellishing a couple of facts. I don't have the luxury to do that. God says, you must not bear false witness. Plus, Satan is the one who's the father of lies. We are not to walk in lies. Lying in my CV is only going to catch up with me later, bite me in the behind. I can get somebody to look at me, to consider me, employ me. True story. Based on a lie, but it's gonna catch up. There are so many people who have applied for jobs and lied about their qualifications and all that jazz, worked, did well in their jobs, loved, trusted, respected, until something one day just comes like a boomerang, bite them in the behind, and they lose everything. I am not about creating a false foundation, do you understand? So my transparency and my honesty, my candor, has only ever caused South Africa to be like, I'm sorry, yours is a pity party sob story. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. Recruitment agents look at me like I stank. My CV, as soon as it comes into their inbox, they just throw it away. They find me brazen and audacious, frankly, to even apply for a job. With them, they laugh. Goodness, she actually thinks that we're going to recommend her to a company. Had a friend who was a recruitment agent in and of herself. She had her own business of placement, and she wouldn't even ask for my CV, even though she knew me. How much worse than when a person who knows me does not want to help me along? How much worse than somebody who doesn't? Someone who's just going to look at the frontal information, the front desk information and run with that. Somebody who has no clue, Grenshap, that I am a travesty walking around. They're gonna ignore me. So you call South Africa to ignore me. You call South Africa to not, what is the word that I'm looking for? To not pitch for their graveyard shift. I was a dead body buried. And largely, if at all people really truly listened to me and did not judge me from first glance, would probably give me a shot. But it was the very people who cost my career, who pulled the rug from underneath my feet in the first place, that said over my dead body, as if though you're in any position to make that decision. As if though anybody is in any position to actually really truly make that decision. I've literally got people saying of me over my dead body, Omang, over your dead body before nakitlo phahama kilo fufanyo ndiza njengenyoni. Ungubani wena, unguhu. Kanguthi unguhu. Nebuchadnezzar kuparalitlotleng. Aralitlotleng. Was this dude that thought ukuthi arrivile, bashing his chest on a pinnacle, speaking about how he made his kingdom. That was Nebuchadnezzar. Watshelwa by an angel of God, ingilosi, that dude. Get over yourself, like literally chill, make like a flower. You will eat grass for 7 years because you have not acknowledged God is the one that gave you all this glory, all this oomph that you now are walking in, this impactfulness that you are walking in. You are gliding instead of walking. That was God. And just as readily as he gave it to you, man, oh man, how he can take it away. And as soon as the angel pronounced that judgment on him, there it is that Nebuchadnezzar for 7 years was reduced to a beast eating grass, living like Ipohofolo in the wilderness, unable to come to his senses. He was made insane. And for 7 years, Aja, Dipofolo, little rats, rodents, whatever, he lived in a jungle. And after 7 years efeta, Mudimu, hallelujah, Ngambuyis, on samunga zongdelela Nebuchadnezzar, blow, make like a flower. I am the decider of all things. Amuhutlisa, maraha hutla Nebuchadnezzar waqina hwetsa etseng. He was humbled, Agir. It's written in God's word that pride precedes a fall, humility before honor, and pride before a fall. That God exalts those who humble themselves, and he humbles those who exalt themselves. Nebuchadnezzar was humbled, and after being humbled, Wati, the nations of this world, from a sober vantage point now. This is what Nebuchadnezzar said the moment he woke up from his little coma. His coma of being like a beast. He was like, the nations of this world are accounted as nothing before God. No one can say to him, what have you done? Let's say that again. Nebuchadnezzar rises from the ashes after 7 years of being made a beast, and finally in a stance of humility says, lefatele kaofela ke rubbish pela matlo a modimo, and haona motho a ka reng ko modimo o entseng. Why unkentse so? No one can bash their chest, their fist at God and say, why have you chosen Karabo? Why have you chosen to turn left, right? If God was hungry, he wouldn't tell you. That's what it's written in God's word. If God was hungry, he wouldn't tell you. Our God is in the heavens. He does whatever he pleases. And Nebuchadnezzar got that finally. He said, the nations of this earth are accounted as nothing before Emmanuel. No one can say to him, what have you done? And only at that point did the Lord then give Nebuchadnezzar more glory than he had at first, restored his Babylon, but not first before humbling him to make him see Uguti. Haoji, because we pepile. Oja, because I allowed it. How me? Because ohema, because I allowed it. Ha otlodula mostulong o phahame o woke o kene koloing o drive o gutle gae o rekile chocolate cake unless I approve. That's God. And you have messed with umuntu that gets that. Umuntu ozithobile oyikokobeditseng komodimo. A person that humbled themselves to a holy God enough to refuse to lie on her CV just so she can get a job. And you are dancing around like Popaikis on that head, expecting ukuthi ngoba kundlule 10 years yonke, a decade, kusho ukuthi akuna God ozobuya for Karabo. There's nobody coming through for this woman. Hey bana, untoli busy usebetsa spreading yourself like a green laurel tree mo strateng mona because modimo o approvile. He's the one o ka kgona go press a button that's going to open the earth and consume you like in Korah's rebellion. You are only alive because he allowed it. Mara hotella hakana wa Karabo. Nano gona le kang fam sebetsi ya ka le kopa. I didn't ask. You sabotaged my life. You took my husband, or at least you think you did. You took my children, or at least you think you did. You stole my career, or at least you think you did. Oh locust, oh palmer worm, oh cankerworm, oh that which gnaws away at crop that you did not till at. Oh, you who has no regard for the fact that a woman studied for years at university just so she could catapult a career in corporate South Africa, only for you to just say, I don't care that obadile girl. Like you literally rock up and you say to people that textbook ele ekana ekima ya management consulting, ekana ekima ya project management, ekana ekima ya corporate finance and investment, textbook ya how ekana ya law, corporate law, go varsity. I don't care that you consumed all that and regurgitated it in an exam. Ufundile, wangalali, wathola ma-icicles nama bag just to rock up at an exam hall to write a paper so you could finally move to second year. Angisibhayisikele msekuthi uyenzile that thing Karabo, having no regard for futhi nendaba yokuthi ngibhadala ama fees amanye adure kabi to get to second year. All the money I spent at this, paying for subjects, lectures, my education, my tuition, essentially, if it's in jefela ya lahlelwa moharamezi le watleng linkile tšheltaka e ngata ekotsi the way ne le ngata ka teng because vets ya dura. And you said angnandaba that you spend all these like thousands, like tens of thousands of rands because I decide that you're gonna drop out of your university. You're gonna look like you're a dropout because just before you're about to graduate, I'm gonna make sure you can't go back to school. And I'm also going to ascertain that all the years that you put in, the blood, sweat, and tears, the grinding, the crying, and the swallowing of your pride to do what you need to do in order to grow your career, all that won't matter. Hey? Witches. They rock up and they don't care that you almost failed accounting 1 because on the day that you were about to write the exam, you fell sick. And yet you pitched anyway. Unzogula, near on vomiting, you pitched for the exam. You pitched. They don't care that you went through all that. They don't care how many doors you had to knock on. They don't care how many people you had to suck up to. Like I say, swallow your pride, eh? They don't care how many people you had to suck up to just to get a job interview. They don't care what you had to do. How many times you spilled coffee on your shirt running to a meeting and having to cover it with baki eo. So that people won't think that you're some clumsy oaf in the office. They don't care about all your experiences. And also the thing that's most tragic and heartbreaking is the fact that never mind all the hard work you put into study, right? Or even get a job and promoted and all that jazz. It's just the relationships. Like, guys, it is the relationships. It's the fact that that's actually the thing that breaks my heart the most, hey? That was all nothing. Nothing. Like, it didn't mean anything. That we laughed, we broke bread, we clubbed together. So are you telling me, like, seeing as you're so content with my death today, that if I had passed away in a car accident at 23, that, like, my funeral would be scantily attended, or never mind that, it will be attended by people that frankly are like good riddance? Because that's how it feels now. It feels like if I were to die, people would say good riddance. So I wonder if I had passed away while there was still fake around me. If at all I would have been looking from eternity at them at my funeral on some... They're not even really actually truly sad. They're insincere. But I would have gone to hell if I had died any other time before Christ, so I guess I wouldn't have known. But I do believe that saints get to see, Christians, they get to see likely what's going on, like how people react to their death. And I would have just woken up in eternity to discover that my death was a relief. To discover that my death was a relief. Relief to people with whom I broke bread, laughed, cheersed, toasted, shared memories. Whatever, we're not going to get sentimental for too long, it's pointless. But what's imperative to understand is that I didn't. Guys, I didn't. Yeah, okay, so you kicked me out of South Africa, corporate. South Africa, even South Africa at large, and Jeffela as a nation, you kicked me out. You did that. You did. You kicked me out of South Africa, corporate South Africa, and South Africa at large, Nje. You just kicked me out. Okay. I then spent years trying to get back to what I lost. With friends and family members sitting in corporate South Africa. I told you guys about some cousin of mine that worked for a company that there was a season in that organization where there was a mass recruitment drive to populate chairs for business analysts and project managers. And she told my mom about this, and yet not me. She told my mom that her company was on a recruitment drive to get PMs and BAs. I had PM experience, and she just told my mom about that, and the information just never came to me. Like, I was never asked for my CV. These people knew what I used to do for a job. But then again, she was among the people that sabotaged my career in the first place. That's the reason why they stood back and did nothing. Do you see? They stood back and did nothing. They didn't call me when I got suspended. Because, you see, that's the thing. Luna batubileng matekwane. Alwa mixang the JS fluid le manala le nyaupe. How high on the supply of Satan. Mixing stuff into food in a pot, in a cauldron. When then the outworking of your witchcraft starts to happen, you're going to be weird in the way that you respond to it. You're not going to be appropriate. So if your friend suddenly falls off a horse when you did a death spell, you are not going to visit them, you idiot, in hospital. You're not going to visit them when they nearly died. You're not going to visit them in hospital because you tried to kill them. You don't even act in ways so as to conceal ubtagati. Man! You can't even fake it, you idiots! You can't even fake it. And Gwazi, you literally walk in a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the reason why ngingafonelwanga mina, as soon as I got suspended from my job and then fired, the reason why nobody visited me, the reason why nobody helped me move when I was being, not evicted, but when I had to move out of my apartment because I couldn't afford to pay for the rent anymore. The reason why nobody was even trying to call in a favor for me in the company where they work was because y'all made me lose my job. You don't want me. Okay, you sabotaged my career. You sabotaged marriage prospects for me. If you could sabotage it, you sabotaged it. So, I mean, if you have sabotaged somebody to lose their career, and if, again, you're intimidated by them, you're scared of what they can do. Why would you want to call in a favor with the project management boss, with a program manager, or the senior manager in a company that has got a drive for PMs? Why would you want to say, I know somebody, Karabo, she lost her job at MTN a year ago. Please see her. She's actually really good. I can vouch for her. She's like one of my, like, I used to go to varsity with her. I used to ABC. It's not like these idiots did not know who I was. It's not like they were unaware of what I can do. It's not like they were in the blind and the dark altogether, like taken aback by ignorance concerning my skills. They were privy to them, observed them, and so much so were they aware of them that they envied them enough to bewitch me. Of how good they are. She's smarter than you. She's more, efficacious than you. Oh, good. This person is growing, shooting up the ranks because she is good at what she does. Is what caused them to basically refuse to put in a good word for me. Littered across these streets in the corporate sector, go financial services, go telecommunications, ICT, wherever it is that they could have placed me. Training and education, bahanne, guys, bahanne. Because they wanted me destroyed in their face. They tripped me up. So of course you're going to be inappropriate. You're going to be weird. You're going to be the random strange zombie at where husband poison. You're going to be the person that's found clubbing, partying, breaking bread, toasting and cheersing after there's been a multi-car vehicle pileup that killed 3 of your friends. Like literally after the funeral, you were very quick to recover. Very quick to recover. Why? Because that blood sacrificed them. That made sure you're going to gain a boost in your career through. That's what witches are like. Which is why he puts out another is the anyone that fears God la mostra thing. It's written in God's word, and I will repeat myself again and again. Will the Lord find faith on the earth when he returns? Di tswibinkinyana tse tsa ditweba tseng kutlwiseng botlhoko tseng ravasitseng tseng tshutlileng tse insistang gore ke ska phahama hape ke ska hema tse batlang go lo extracta madi a mo mmeleng wa ka ba tseba ntwe ba yentseng, and so they have no vested interest in me being okay. Ba tseba ntwe ba yentseng. That's why they have stood back, been aloof. Baloi ha ba loile o tlo responda to situation in a way esa tshwanelegeng for motho o. If at all ke mme wa teng o tlo a ka se rate motho ngwana hae o tlo latlhegelwa ke everything a ba vele fela aplome a mo shebe a sotla o mo latlhela metsing ra drown a tote ha ba ne ke khazi ha tlo mo tshwara ke re ka mogalanyana shelum liza nyana girl get well soon nothing ke nyamalala ba vele ba disappear. They perforate in the sky. They disappear like vapor. They pulverize like sand, like rock, like dust. They just disappear in a way that's observably inappropriate. Observably inappropriate. My family has been observably inappropriate in their reaction to my job loss, the loss of my career, because so many of them manala, JS fluent, nyaupe, some concoction in Jafela eba saying hi, hard knock, and they're not snapping out of it. Etc. 10 years ago, fela decade defeatile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Precisely because how loile. When you look at your witchcraft, when you surveil your sorcery, you are going to inappropriately respond in a way that is observable by humanity. But you know, most people don't intervene. They're just like, hey, black people are uncaring. It's not that black people are uncaring. It's that witches are uncaring, and there's a lot of them in the black community. It's not that we don't have each other's backs. It's that so many of us are doing witchcraft that it looks like we just don't care about each other. Anare, o teng mo mo strateng motho. O tsebang Jesu ka nnete. The way le pitsang bazalwane ka teng. Yar, di twebanyana tse tsa di tswibinki tse tsubileng matekwane. Most of them, and by most I mean literally in the 90th percentile. Running in like the 90th percentile are professing Christians. Ba ipitsa bazalwane. So jaka ga ba ipitsa bazalwane ba ya dikerekeng ka disonta. It ought make you wonder. Bayingakhi labantu la emgaqweni. Engibloma nabo esontweni, sitting with them in the church pew. Fellowship nabo, ngibloma nabo at Bible study. They pick me up and drop me off. The woman that first started like picking me up and dropping me, like basically, she picked me up with her husband to take me to church. She was among the first few people to be reached the living daylights out of my marriage prospects. It makes you wonder, hore, ke blomile next to nye ko kerekeng. Ase ntho, ase thoswane nar king. Ase rodent, rat. Ase ikundwani, angplomanga next to umuntu maninto. Ke blomile pelaeng, ke dutse pelaeng kerekeng. Ke atlhametswe ke eng, ke tonetse matlhoke eng ko Bible studying. Because the people who betrayed me like this has seke activity nyana hectic mara ya go bola ga kakang ko dikerekeng ke di Sunday school teacher lang kutla. They serve in the ministry of helps. 2 women I knew from Grace Bible Church. One was a Sunday school teacher, omunye was an usher. Boloi tuka mollo mo strateng tsa chisa. Of course then, girl, you're not gonna have my back when I say I've lost my job. Duh, you caused it. Mara kereke yona yes, like it ha osa itsamaya. Another one was a friend of mine, Lena Nakenako Gracie. She served in the ministry of helps as an intercessor. Kaze uzotandaza hwa tutaka ngaka. And already tongues sa gago zo di rapelang asita diabolos. Is that not what's going on? The Bible says, will the Lord find faith? Will the Lord find, what is this word that I'm looking for? Faith on the earth when he returns. Ke yona ntwe emudima buanga yona ko Revelation hanza chika di kerek. Rebuking di kerek. Hore wena ke go itse you've got a reputation for being alive mara o tlhoka fetse. Ke go itse you are lukewarm. You chill where Satan has his throne. You've tolerated that woman Jezebel. You can't deceive God. Karabo. Gaslighter, long gaslighter, that's why I dosle man. I do not come groveling, crawling. Get on my minas, not entrane. Get marana temban tuse. Na sisters in tuse. Na renailu in tuse. Na pinking tuse. Kitule molena I get a koske boni. Or I don't particularly right. Limpon sister, you gave me years to observe. Utani spice miskelem for what angazi. Mwawenkanguti mesimpinch. I thought Ornella was so flat. But it all just turned out, Uguti, all that you were a bunch of participants in some giant orgy. Partaking in some debauched activity. Where it is that you imagine that you could get away with murder. So I mean really, it's to be expected. But doing next to the only question that I have, that I'm begging, is my sister, my brother. See you next week at the fellowship. See you next week at the women's conference. See you next week at the church camp. Oh, I can't wait. My daughter's so excited for the church camp. It's gonna be so powerful and impactful. I will see you at the Bible study, my brother. God bless you very much. Yo, kitchening a little alchemy experimentation. It's some spell. Unale shrine go ka moreng. Di nepe tsa gago are they not littered go shrining a thing? Di nepe tsa gago di clumped together. Mo gara buka ai kwetseng ya spell casting. Mara o busy my brother, my sister, I see you at Bible study. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I'm gonna be so powerful at the church women's conference. No, I'm so glad my daughter's gonna be very happy to go to the church camp. Daughter wa teng ya tsebolo tsebo go ntatwa teng o tshere anu tsebile matekwane anang le JS fluid le manala le nyaupe. De wa ratile le sofa slahlane le ona jaka macaroni. Spaghetti se phegilweng hampe dipelo tsa lona di tswiletse leng ke di chichiboya le tsheriane ene le senyetsa batho be ka moso ha setse jone di tlhare tsa lona di sa sebetse fandi one or di tswa ha di tlhola a ke re gathwe tse botlhoko ga di feletse sa feleng di a tlhola ga di tlhare tsa lona di tlhola. That's when then you feeling that unnecessary evil ukubulala umuntu and qali you don't generally start ngokubulala bakhona ba weird like that abaweka abazobulala off a cuff nje fela cause badawe extra. Mara most of you let our later ha motho ditlhare tsa lona setse di gola maboya, ditlhare tsa lona ha se di le tshosa, ha setse di sa etse ntho that you wanted them to do. That's when you start to, act a strange fool and decide ukuthi umuntu kwamele manje ayobhoda. You decide ukuthi umuntu sansa lo tlhokafala. Ha ba tsebe ko officing gore wena ngumbulali. Ha ba tsebe ko kerekeng. As you're busy teaching bana the audacity wako Sunday school shem always. Jesus is learning on the story of Jonah. He was in the belly of a fish for 3 days. Yeah, children. Obololoya mzalwane. Wenzani phambi kwabantwana. It's written in God's word ukuthi it'll be a better day. It'll be better when if you had a millstone tied around your neck and for you to be thrown in the ocean than for you to face God on the judgment, because ubhizi ntso leader bana astray. Another mosadi wa loyang hakana o etsang. Phela bana. O turisitse Satane. So jaka ga o turile ka Satane go tsha ditlhako tsa gagwe. Ha o kena mogara Rome. Ke aka tswa mo baneng. Gura dithaka tsa hao. Tsamo gura dithaka tsa gago. Tlogela go kena kwa ra Sunday school o no tshereantsa bana cause o tlhokafetse ka fa gare ka fa. Tsamo gura le Karabo. Get inside a boxing match no Karabo. Ya ke pia ya gago ke re ke thaka ya hao. Mara wena ntse o le busy weekends a sweet konyana blooming in front of abantwana. E Sunday school teaching them about the Bible. What are you going to impart? What wisdom are you going to impart? Ko baneng o loya di pia sa gago ga botho. Bana ba teng ha ba ka gola ba bantswembu. Baba, these gorgeous teenagers, another how to lawyer, seeing as you have got access to them, you are privy to them because Sunday school. On a lemon so much that you will go and grab the carpet from underneath the feet of a fellow Sunday school teacher. You've got so much jealousy that you can't stand the glory of other women. So banyana haba seifi he. When they turn 16, 17, babola, all up in your grill. When they start to become like the bombshell, you know how these kids get? One day blend they were bora yo could be a model. Since the bana ba 16, 17, eba di bombshell o tlo dila jwang. O sa khone dila ka the ones who are your peers. Ontso shebane mo matlhong ba o tonnetswe matlo. Ke bana ba bantle ba pila ba ko Sunday school. Mara wena o Sunday school teacher elo yang. Ha o tlo loya bana keng? Ha o tlo loya bana keng? Yeah, that's why ke re go kerekeng le blomile next to eng. What are you sitting next to in the pew? Ke mang brother, boy brother, sister girl, ke mang or running youth group. There was another dude, wako Gracie. Go Gracie nkaranje fela baba manufacturer nkare ke di hot cake. Baba loyang mixed with Christianity. And I nearly eldara that was given charge over youth. Bamenzi elder lo muntu, and he was in charge of youth. So he was basically like a youth pastor. Youth pastor etlo loyang cheri gore emonyale or eska nyala. He batong ke mang o le rutang lentswe la morena Jesu. A tshirene ga kana ntse le busy a fofa godima di rofo tsa batho, a mo destroy, a mo sabotage. A batho fitla tlo ruta bana how to hold themselves in a bunch. Kanjan. Hey, will the Lord find faith on the earth when you're angin kalanga umsebenzi mina ka lekopa. Ling sabotage lang singetsa bokamoso. La make sure ha ke phaphame, ha ke hemi. Ke belenje fela ke lo tota. Ke lo tlhoriswa ke lefatshe le kaofela. Mo ke yang teng ke kopana le di brick wall. It's what you did because ke lena le putting the rug from underneath my feet in the first place. So of course, hajwa no moto asa khono thola msebetsi o ka se mothusi. They stood back and they did nothing precisely because they were mutineers against my life. They participated in the mutiny. Baloi ba jwalo ba inta. They're like ones who like popping pimples on their faces, giving themselves acne scarring. They just can't leave a wound alone. Ha ba khone lo act appropriately in the midst of their victims. They can't. They will literally act in ways that are bizarre, observably so by the world. And that's what's been going on for 10 years in my life. But wako yeso abenandaba namkanjani. Abantu bamnyama abenandaba with each other. That's not true. It's just sad, however, that so many of them are doing witchcraft, and so umuntu uzolahlekelwa yonke into la emgaqweni in the black community bese yonke i-community umphakathi lona ignora because wonke umuntu la emphakathini uyathakatha. Ha ba qeta ho loya ba tlo go jeba nje fela ba go tonnele matlho ntse o sotlwa ke ditlhare tsa teng. All they are looking at is a traceability matrix. Ba batla go compare boloyi le ntho e tsagalang go bophelong ba gago. So when motho o tlo corruptang career ya gago ka witchcraft, when a person comes against your career with witchcraft, when you then suddenly get suspended from your job, strangely that best friend of yours is not going to call you saying, but girl, that is unfortunate. Why ba khwetsa sona my girl mara? Ai batho ba bana maitseo. O ka se thole comfort from the people that you trusted the most. Akazo kufonela lo muntu. Batlonne ba go sheba nje fela o fader into the background or no mara why dinewo. Asina taba le nna ang chaketse nna the other day hane ke tswa spetleleng. Why this time around yena ndaba nam? Because this here's it's more dire than hospitalization. Kwenzakalani? Only reason why Udinewo is doing something like that is because dinewo nyana ya teng ya utsuba matekwane anang de nyaupe anang de manala le je sluti le bleach o go loetse career So how latlhegelwa ke career o vela blome morago a re look bona ditlhare tsa ka di a bereka. They look, they watch, they observe, they witness their witchcraft and then do nothing, and in so doing nothing expose themselves. Bayazikhipha babaqeda lapho lezinja. They didn't have the audacity yokuba spiteful. Baba spiteful. They will not only sit back and do nothing, but they will not call you. Ba tlo go tlogela nje fela o bole nna he ke tsule le kaseng ke le tumpile le kasi la teng. I punched it. Uma Thurman and Kill Bill, and now just like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill, this Deadly Vipers Association. I'm gonna finish you first. Is that basic? I'm not gonna just disappear and just vanish into thin air, poof like Houdini. I'm sorry. Na go tshepa modimo ko motshepa go sa na ntwe e tshepagalang mona go sa bonagala re wetsa halang ho tshosa ke kwatletse di mambati menyako all over ke feeling ka re ha go tswa ko motshepa, cause I ain't got nothing else. Whom have I in heaven but God? Earth has nothing I desire besides him. If God does not take up my cause, I'm done for. Go fedile kan go fedile leng tsofatsa ke sna monna ke sna bana ke sna career ke sna next go bloma wait go dula. I'm just gonna sit here and just wait. I will do nothing but sit and wait. If nothing is giving, who impossible? Because I belong to God. If it appears nothing is giving, who impossible will for nothing to be giving, wankutla? Because I belong to God. I don't care what it looks like it's promising right now or not. I cannot taba go dry ha ka kana gona borotho ha gona tsokere ha ke na taba ra gona pepere ha gona letswai ha ke na taba if I don't have what I need and tshosa I'm in some kind of a freezing icicle position. Bottom line is nonke ningitelele njengebhokate 1997 and angizobhoda mina and give you the opportunity to say good riddance ke haleka lor akoipolaela ngpatla le ka singhalele ngpatla vele ke le bone ke le banqile ka straight la ka ofela le setumpile la nkutlwa shapile tsola tsotse mo strateng o sna diaparo wena o busy ntse o tsamaya hopping up and down with everything dangling ha o batle ke le penti re tla dila ka dimbambo tsa gago at least mara o batla para le tranka ehle. Your nakedness will be seen all over the show. But if you want me dead, bottom line is God wants me alive. What you want is irrelevant, and eventually you will see that. Just like with Nebuchadnezzar, that he got to a point where he was like, the nations of this world are counted as nothing before God. No one can say to him, Wenzen. So none of y'all can say to God, Wenzen, this year is a necessary evil, God. Why did you not expect to when you go, tagata, usiswako, umtanako, uputwako, iyanti, makita la pobesi ya bloma magatlumezwa. Obodu ulende fela jekas totsela. Ha tloriso. Why did you not expect to go to ilanga lizofika when you get exposed manje uzohlazwa? Ngoba uyihlazo vele. You walked in ways that are embarrassing. You were not appropriately responsive to ukusukleha when ntwana yakho. Your boy was out just suffering, and despite being best friend for 12 years, you just stood back and watched the guy suffocate. Cause why on that day? You put yourself in a position yokuhlazwa ndoda. You put yourself in a position yokuhlazwa. So njengoma amaqophe wenu azokhitshwa lamabhunga la estradini njengoba nizokhitshwa in broad daylight for straight selishapileng inappropriately naked all over the show. Take it, blom, brother. Jeka khaba go braya on rotisserie. Ba go ntsha ba go roaster. I get go no qadileng. Le qadileng nyoko. As soon as you commence le nyongo, anticipate to God is going to be the one who's qeda. What work he has begun in us, he will finish it. Linkense artist lankutla langpeya di mazaza a fake most fatlhegong because le hanno rena ke lo ba suit. You refused that I should be a suit in corporate South Africa. Le hanne la re Karabo o ska tlo re bora wena ka bo hoto ba gago bo blomineng ka kwae le jazz le baki ko officing ga rena taba wena le di chiffon scarf za gago le perfume ya Chanel. Bottom line is nna jaka soccer ball get go gorag lang rag ha qeta ng raga beletswa monna la tlogela di jara la nkutla di fete mo strateng ntse di matha kana nka re ke di bere. And then I got to a point where I was like, namudimo, it appears, it looks ingati, lana. I'm never gonna go back to corporate South Africa. I got to a point where minanga amgela, a lot that God gave me. Ni amgile. I accepted it. Ni amgele. I accepted it. Ke amogetse taba hore nka se sebetse VF go corporate South Africa go fedile. Le ntsoletse mabadi to a point where jwanong ha ona ke re one recruitment agent now o tlong phone lanka gap ya 10 years mo saving ga ke tshepe for no reason ke le innocent jana. So all I can do is trust ukuthi Modimo is going to give me something else. I ke tsebe eng mara o mpha yona le ka se tlo tshirena bo tlhoko gakana and expect gore modimo ga lo dila ka lena bathong naive. You in these streets about that naivete business. You literally all about that naivete business. You are literally naive to think ukuthi God uzongishiya nje mina ngibone on the side of the street ke tlogetswe nje fela hore ke sotlege naive. I need the bathroom. I need to brush my teeth because I hate leleme coffee. And I need to also pee, all that jazz. Ke lo tlhatswa sejana yana, say 2, say 3. Let me go and do that and then finish this message. Yeah, okay. I'm now wearing a jacket nyana because it's kind of warm. And I'm walking outside. Do I really want to be walking, or can I just sit down and talk and finish the discussion? Bottom line is, okay, I have to be slightly quiet. Azanka kupa anybody, a job. I'm not comfortable with being here because I don't want to be close to Mujarateng. Plus, the ground smells like manure because it's almost spring. I don't want to be near fecal matter. Anyway, let me just carry on talking. My cat is probably going to follow me where it is that I don't want it to follow me. Azanka kopa mutu musebetsing na. I didn't. I did at some point. But then I stopped. I stopped asking. Why? Because I saw that I made what would be the tantamount of a conclusive observation concerning what God is likely doing with this whole thing. I could not be sure 100% that that's what he was doing, but I could only speculate. If at all, I tried and tried and tried, like no man's business, to get back into corporate South Africa, to no avail. For years, with God allowing an ever-stretching, yawning, expanding gap in my CV to continue to grow and grow and grow, then it must only mean one thing. I can't say that God called me out of corporate South Africa. There are many Christians that claim that God called them to quit their jobs, or God called them to start businesses, or God told them to move to this state, this city, this country, this village. There are plenty of Christians on the internet that claim to have had this experience from God. They claim to have, let me put this up, it's Wendy, okay? There are many Christians that claim to have had an experience where it is that God called them to leave corporate or to whatever, I don't know, okay? And I don't discount their testimonies. I'm not in their shoes, in their belts. I'm not that person that despises prophesying or says that everybody that is out here claiming to have heard from God couldn't have. I'm not that girl. I might be a Calvinist, into Reformed theology. I might be very academic in terms of how I approach the gospel, but I'm also very spiritual, and I'm also I don't write off spiritual experiences of people. So I can never really say that when a person claims to have been spoken to by God, that there's no way that happened. I'm not that girl, right? But I personally can't say with any level of certainty that God ever called me to quit my job in order to basically pursue whatever. One thing that is certain is that when I was newly saved, I asked the Lord to give me direction in terms of purpose. I was working a successful career, but I did not have the job satisfaction. I was working hard in what I thought was the thing that I was supposed to do, and it bore fruit for me, but I didn't have job satisfaction. I was always on edge and unhappy, feeling like maybe I should have chosen a different career. I was never truly happy. So I did go to God and I said to him, Lord, please give me the career that is going to make me happy. Give me a job that is going to make me happy. You know that saying, I think it might be Wendy. If it is, please forgive me. Do what you love and you will never have to work a day. It smells like so much like poop, like manure. They've manured the lawn because it's almost spring. Can't stand the smell, but anyway, I just felt like if I told you, you would smell it too, so we're in it together in spirit. Anyway, whatever. I did take it to God that I was not entirely satisfied, but I would never have quit my job. Even when I was studying at varsity, I wasn't happy with it. I felt like I had missed my calling. What I was supposed to really truly do, I just wasn't doing it, but I didn't know what it was. When I was in high school, I loved biology and I loved chemistry, and so therefore biochemistry was literally a job that was just sitting very strongly on my heart. But I did not want to work a job where I would have to wear a lab coat and like experiment on things that may or may not be ethical, etc. Never mind that, medicine was also another perspective for a career that I could work out medicine, right? But I shouldn't have left my power bank, because I have a power bank and now I'm sitting on 15% and I want to be able to talk. Okay, let's just walk back and get the power bank and then walk back out again. But the sun is setting, so I don't know how this is gonna ultimately operate. Medicine was another place where I would have wanted to work. Essentially anything that involved either human anatomy, human biology, or the helping of people. Pathology, I don't know, making medicines, I really was interested in those sciences. But with medicine, I did not go out like that because blood, gore, I'm scared. Never mind scared, but scared is not the word. It is emotional. Like I wouldn't be able to just deal with that level of human suffering and just take it in my stride. So medicine was definitely not an option for those reasons. So I then pursued like a commerce track at university. I pursued become law. I did like law a lot, but you see, all the things that I liked sort of kind of did not work out for me, because I had to drop out of school after second year, go Wits, because my mom wasn't paying my fees, and they did not offer law, the whole LLB suite. They didn't offer it part-time, so I had to abandon law because I mixed law with my undergrad studies. It was initially going to be a BA law, then it would have become a BCom law, but then I couldn't do BCom law because of the fact that part-time, I don't know if it's ever changed. I don't know if it's ever since then changed at Wits, but at the time when I was there, they didn't offer it part-time, and so I had to take like anything else. So I have, like, if you were to see my academic transcript, Yakovitz, there's just so many subjects, like so many changes, like so many things that I was just fluidly moving between left and right without really settling anywhere. And that was because I was never really truly settled in the choice of academic path that I would take. I was never really truly settled in that space, neither career. And how it is that my career even started was by happenstance, because I was intending to get my degree and then apply, of course, for a graduate program in corporate, but I had to drop out before I was done. So I started in the call center, and I always hated my jobs. I always hated them, and ultimately I gained some kind of a professional strength, but I was still not in the right place. My last job, I was a program/project manager, and I was doing well. I was earning a decent salary. I would only go from strength to strength from there, but I was still hugely unsatisfied. I was still very, very, very largely unhappy in that space. I actually want to walk a little bit faster so I can get to the power bank sooner rather than later. So I struggled with the I struggled with the prospect of staying in project management for the rest of my days. I really could not stand is a very strong word, but my biggest challenges with project management were, hi Queen Cat, issue C, now you found me and you're gonna want to insist on traveling with me to wherever I go. Hi Queen Cat, say hi. My biggest challenge with project management was that you could never really specialize in project management, and that was always a thing for me. I'm such an academic, and I'm so studious, and I love to be a subject matter expert in whatever field I am in. Biochemistry was going to award me that opportunity, medicine was going to award me that opportunity, and law, if I had finished it at Wits, was going to award me that opportunity to be a specialist in human rights law in particular, was what I wanted, right? My dad was a lawyer. Let me just get my power bank, get my makeup. Okay, I've got a power bank now, and it's charging. My prayer is that it will just keep charging the phone. I found a power bank in the house that helps, goes a long way, but I cannot move my phone too much, because then the charger that I'm using the USB that I'm using is unreliable. It just keeps on switching off and on and off and on and on. Anyway, whatever. I was talking about how it is that law, right, was I wanted to do human rights law, or maybe even corporate law, but largely human rights, because that was what was basically anything. I wanted a humanitarian career, okay, a job that involved service of humanity. That's just something that's always been sitting on my heart ever since I was a kid. And I ended up pursuing a career that had everything to do rather with me, right, instead of human beings, because I thought that's what needed to happen. I was a lost. This thing just keeps on dropping the ball on me, and my prayers that it's just gonna stop dropping the ball. I was a lost sinner, okay, and I just ran with what the world imagines is what we need to do with our lives, instead of what was really, really sitting on my heart. So I ignored my call, if you want to call it that. From the time I was a kid, I ignored that I longed to be in a humanitarian profession, which is why law was attractive to me. I wanted, the kind of law that I wanted to do was human rights. Wind, so much wind. It's just going to be such a disturbance of my peace. I don't even know if I should be going outside at this point, like if I should insist on it or what. But I'll go out anyway. Sorry, what I'm doing there is just checking to see what my battery's looking like. What do you mean? This thing should be charging. Ish, man. You know what? I need a lot more peace. Like this power bank. Here it is over here. I found it. I found a power bank in the house, and it is a precious blessing, because it means I don't have to keep charging my phone like over and over and over and over again. And then like waiting while I'm recording. But today is kind of windy. Not kinda, it's actually really windy. And because of how windy it is, I don't know if I should be out here. But anyway, I enjoy walking on the street because I barely ever go out. And this is a nice opportunity for me to take a walk, especially considering I haven't been exercising. So anyway, whatever. I wanted to do human rights law because I wanted some kind of a humanitarian job. That's why I wanted to do biochemistry. That's why I considered medicine, but then I didn't go out like that, because medicine would have been too taxing for me emotionally to deal with human suffering. I needed to be able to help people from a vantage point where I didn't have to deal with too much human suffering. But as a kid, I ignored that yearning, that calling, because I was just a sinner. I was in the world, and I didn't follow my passion. I just followed what made sense. I was smart, so I had a plethora of options at my disposal, and so I just chose become whatever. At some point I thought I was going to get into finance. At some point I was, so if you were to look at my academic transcript at Wits, oh my goodness, like there's just so many things I've done, so many subjects that I took in 1 year and then didn't take it to second year, didn't take it to third year, because of the fact that I could never make a decision. I could never be certain, because I was not studying what I wanted to study. When I was before I had to drop out, right, I had done psychology at Wits, and I enjoyed it so much. Like, there are a few things in my life that I enjoyed to a point where I just felt like, ooh, this is it. Like, I could totally go out like that. But I didn't carry on with psychology because I did not want a career as a psychologist. I knew that that's not what I wanted. I knew that that's not what would ultimately work for me. But somehow, because it was so involved in human service, like service to people, okay, this power bank, the problem is not the power bank, it's the actual charger. The USB is problematic, it's faulty, so it's not giving me grief. It keeps on falling off from its charging state, and now that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm concentrating on. Okay, I knew that I wanted to do something that had to do with helping people, but once I went back to Wits, once I took myself back to school after being forced to drop out, I just ditched the psychology. I didn't finish it to the end because I didn't want to be a shrink. It felt right, but it didn't. It's like there was something missing. Like it wasn't the full thing. And you know how I like to say that psychology, I don't write it off, because psychologists, I see them as misguided or unsung theists. They ignore God altogether, but they somehow largely diagnose what in the world is wrong with the earth in an accurate capacity, but they don't get to the full nth degree of explaining things because they completely ignore God. So that, even though I was not yet born again, it was something I just kind of inherently knew. That's why I was drawn to psychology, because it was diagnosing the human condition. But I couldn't finish it because it was not quite finishing. It was not the full story. It was part of the story. Okay, yeah, that's what's good. So that's why I didn't carry on doing psychology part-time. When I took myself back to school, I was just like, I'm going to study what it is that's going to make me the most money. So I went into a BCom track. I was probably going to end up with a corporate finance and investments degree. I was going to go into finance because I could not do a BCom law. I was going to study a financial degree. I was going to finish a financial degree because I thought that that's what was going to make me money. But I was never happy. I did not enjoy myself at lectures. I did nothing. And then also on the job, go MTN, where I was working, I was a project manager, and I couldn't, I struggled with job satisfaction. All right, I'm sorry if I keep on sniffing and whatnot. I should have grabbed tissue, but my nose is kind of runny. Yeah, okay, cool. With the lack of job satisfaction at MTN, that was also because of the subject matter, okay, expertise. I could never be an SME. Like, I've always had a thing about being really good at something and be a subject matter expertise. And project management is just so general. It was just so general. It's like you are coordinating or managing, consolidating and controlling and monitoring what other people are doing. When I was a project manager, I was always so covetous of the depth of knowledge of developers. I was so covetous of the depth of knowledge of business analysts, the depth of knowledge of product managers. Like, basically my resources in my projects, they knew more than me concerning the ins and outs of what it is that we were trying to deliver to market. And all I could do was oversee what they already knew. And me being unable to even truly know whether they're lying to me or they're telling the truth, because I was not learned at that granular, finite detail of the craft that they were delivering to the project. I felt frustrated. I was extremely frustrated as a project manager. I could never be an expert at anything, and that never sat right with me. It never sat right with me. So I never enjoyed my tenure as a project manager. And if at all you have been a project manager, or you are aware of the earning potential or capacity of a project manager, you all know that they earn a lot, and they can earn into the millions. The more senior they become, they start to get these ridiculous salaries, right? And then when you move into program management, even more so, can things get really lucrative in that ecosystem. So I knew that I was basically set for life financially if I stayed in project management. Even if I became a project manager for the rest of my career, I would only just go from strength to strength, because it's literally entirely possible for a project manager to earn 3 million rands a year. It can happen, okay? So I knew that project management was the right space financially. It made sense, but I was unhappy. And like I said, I can't really say that it was fluffy, but it was just not SME sufficient, okay? It was not strong enough a career in terms of knowledge for me. I felt frustrated. I feel like you can understand if you're a project manager and you're not the kind of project manager that has once before been a BA. Like, if you were not before a business analyst, and if you were not before a coder, like a developer, if you were not before a product specialist, but you just dived straight into project management before you became a specialist, it will be so frustrating. So I believe that the most happy project managers are likely those that were coders before, that were BAs before, that were project or segment. Yeah, you get my point. So people who at some point were specializing and then moved over to oversight. Those are the only happy project managers. The others, the ones that are like me, who were brought into a field to oversee from the get-go without you actually having gone through an IT degree or a business analysis course or whatever, software development or a conceptual solution designer career first. If you haven't done the dirt, if you haven't done the time and gotten your hands dirty first before you became a project manager, it becomes very frustrating. Your lack of knowledge, your lack of understanding, unless you're one of those people that are happy to basically just oversee and not know what really is truly happening on the ground. with any level of expertise, but I was never that thing. I've always been a sucker for knowledge. I've always been a sucker for academic inquisition, and it was just frustrating for me. I felt like I was just fluffy, and so I had no job satisfaction. I had no job satisfaction. If anything, in my earlier career, like shortly after getting my certificate at Liberty Life, right, I became a claims consultant for Telesure Group Services. It was not a senior job, even in the slightest. It was quite junior, actually. It was in the call center, and I was a claims consultant. I loved that job. I loved it. Why did I love the job of being a claims consultant? Because I was not only an expert, and knowledgeable in my job, but I was helping people. They'd been in accidents. They had lost furniture, right? People had broken into their houses. People had stolen their cars. They'd been in car accidents. They had what do you call this? Basically, the kind of stuff that you would need. The kind of stuff that you would need. The kind of stuff that you would experience when you call an insurance company. The person who helps you get your case sorted from beginning to end, that enables you to be recovered to your furniture and your car if it has been stolen and all that jazz. I was that thing, and it was just so satisfying. It was so satisfying. The salary sucked. I did not earn much, but I loved my job. I really loved my job as a claims consultant, and nothing really compared ever since then. And it was such a junior position. It was such a lowly job. Well, it was senior in the area where we used to work, in this in the services space within the company that we worked. We were the most senior, but it was still quite junior just in terms of overall level in your career. I was very happy as a claims consultant, but I did not have enough money, and so I kept moving, and then I moved on to Nedbank, etc. The next job that I really enjoyed, but not enough, was when I was a trainer at Nedbank, right? I used to train staff on their jobs. Like if you were going to be a teller, I would train you. If you were going to be an inquiries clerk, I would train you. If you were going to be a banker, I would train you. Basically, we used to train for the branches, and I enjoyed that job because it gave me leg room to innovate methods of training, to perhaps recommend new processes, coupled with the fact that, people. I loved the people, the delegates, the people who would come in for the classes, the training. I not only traveled to where they were at, to other provinces. We used to travel all across South Africa to go and train type thing, but sometimes they would come to us where it is that we were at in Hatfield, Pretoria, and I enjoyed it because the delegates, they made all the difference. The delegates, as in the trainees, the people who were there for the training, they made all the difference. They made me feel like I was making such a big difference. The way that kids love their teachers, like they were just so loving, and I was able to impart knowledge to them in a way that they observably appreciated. They observably appreciated it, and it really touched me. It touched my heart for me to be able to inspire people, to train them and to improve them in whatever it is that they're doing. It made a huge difference to my day. I really enjoyed it, but I was troubled. My boss sucked, and not only did my boss suck, but I also was so far away from home. Sometimes I missed home because I would sometimes travel away from Johannesburg. My boyfriend was just a rando. I was actually living with him, and he would pull stunts, and so that made me sad sometimes, coupled with also the fact that my education, like I was studying part-time at Wits and traveling across South Africa. Sometimes I couldn't go to lectures. It really hindered my progress academically and made me acquiring my degree even slower than it already was because I was part-time. And so those things were challenging, and that's what made me accept moving on to project management at Gijima. And that was pretty much the last time I ever enjoyed any job. Ever. So project management gave me a massive springboard financially and in terms of a career trajectory, but it also entered me into just a bland, mundane, day-to-day, I'm doing the modes, I'm earning a good salary, but really I'm not happy type thing. It was the beginning of the end of job satisfaction for me. Project management was the beginning of the end of job satisfaction. I hated it from the very get-go, but I kept on striving in it. Why? Because it was financially viable. It was financially viable, and it would definitely catapult me into a very, very successful future one day. The best job I ever had was a lowly one in a call center where I was a claims consultant, followed by the Nedbank training job. After that, I never really was ever happy again in a career type establishment thing. And I just took it, man. I just took it. I just took those blows. I'd been ignoring my call, or I'd been ignoring my yearning for service of humanity, essentially. I'd been ignoring it from the very get-go. And then I got born again. I got saved. All right, Jesus gave me redemption. And when then I got born again, that's when I started to be real with myself. I got honest with myself. I discovered that this world, there's more to it than meets the eye. It doesn't all just end with career, make money, and go into whatever profession is going to make you the most amount of money. Because that's probably what was inspiring my decisions. Even moving over from a job that I generally largely loved at Nedbank, where I was a trainer, to to be a project manager for Gijima. It was a financial decision. It was more financial, but it was financial, but it also was inspired by the fact that I couldn't study properly. My boss was kind of mean-spirited. She had issues with me that didn't make sense. She was she was duplicitous, okay? One person on one side and another person on another. And I had to rely on the praise and the love of my delegates and other observers of my training to be respected in that profession, because she was setting me up for failure. But people loved me so much when I was a trainer that she could not, with any level of believability, actually downsize me. Like, she could not, with any level of believability, underscore me. Yeah, but the fact that she had it in for me, and she also was not supportive of my education, and I was very, very big on academics. So those were some of the factors that contributed to why I left Nedbank. But also largely, project management was just so promising. It promised me a wealthy life. It promised me money. It promised me a house, a 3-bedroomed house by the before I turned like 25, getting 27. It just gave me what it is that I thought I needed. It gave me money. It gave me money. Project management gave me money. It gave me money. And that literally, the Bible says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and many who have wandered after it have pierced themselves with many pains. Project management gave me pains. That car, either a colored guy drives it or an Indian. And it's a young one on top of that, like nitrogen ele. And I would know that there's nitrogen in there because I used to work for insurance. Speed enhancing stuff. Vehicle like that can't be insured, at least as at last time I checked. Anyway, now I think it's time to go back, because and I'm paranoid that my phone might just get taken, and this filter makeup is looking super fake because of the fact that lights are a particular way. So if I just sit in a car, it'll be better that way. So the factors that contributed to why I left Nedbank, I've highlighted them above, but largely it was about money. And the Bible says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and many who have wandered after it have pierced themselves with many pains. It's also written that those who chase after riches will fall into many temptations. I allowed myself to plunge into an unhappy career because of the love of money. I can't really say that I loved money, but I definitely did not want to have it. I wanted to have it. I wanted success, and success in jobs is equated in this world to money. It's money. It's not job satisfaction. In theories of motivation, one of the subjects that I studied at WITS was that money is not a motivator. Money is not a motivator. Even in the slightest, it is not a motivator. Money is not a motivator. It isn't. It's provably not a motivator. And I was studying that at WITS. I knew that. And yet I did not even make a decision to perhaps maybe reconsider my career while I was still young enough, because I was out here earning what it is that I financially wanted to earn. And I was only going to go from strength to strength, leaps and bounds from there. But I was keeping it because it was financially promising. The career was financially promising. Okay, right now the filter is so super glaringly, obviously a filter, to a point where you can barely see the real me. But as soon as I sit down in the car, that'll all change. So please bear with me while I walk around in this ridiculous looking ghostly disposition. Okay. I kept myself in there, the love of money being the root of all kinds of evil. I stayed, but I was unhappy. I was very, very unhappy. And then when I was a project manager for consumer marketing at MTN, I always used to covet, like no man's business, the jobs of people in marketing, even the entry-level ones. I wanted to be in that space. That's when I made a decision. I actually just want to go and sit down now so I can speak more leisurely and relaxed, because as I walk and talk, there are distractions. I feel I am just automatically distracted by all this activity. Oh, let me show you my power bank. I'm glad I found it. I no longer now have to like charge and keep charging and charging, because this thing over here got my back. Yes. Anyway, whatever. Let's guy. I'm distracted. I'm distracted by all this moving. Yeah. Where was I, man? Come on, I need to find my bearings. Yes, when I was working as a consumer marketing project manager at MTN, my resources on my projects were, of course, developers, people in IT and IS, but largely it was people from marketing. My cat stayed home. Good. Didn't follow me outside. You're getting smarter, crank cat. Okay. But I think more than anything, my cat is scared of that other black cat that keeps on scratching her eyeballs out. It's problematic. Okay, guys, I've arrived at my car. And again, I need to use the ladies. So let me go. Okay, this filter is like totally ridiculous now. Let me use the bathroom and come back and finish the story.